Modder Paul Hookers presents.
Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Is this Ricky?
Hello. Yes, ma'am, I'm here. I was
Hi,
asking you,
Ricky.
are you back at home now? How are you
Yes, I'm
doing,
at
ma'am?
home.
Have you completed?
I'm doing okay.
Okay. Now, now look on your computer, ma'am. Now tell me, do you have any shopping mall near to your house?
We have it's a Target a super Target that I go to. It's about
Yes.
25 minutes away. Hey, Ricky, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I was waiting
Yeah,
for you to park.
yes, I arrived at the Target.
Now listen, ma'am. As you are on the Target store, what you need to do is that Target is a business franchisee of PayPal. So if you tell
Okay.
them that you have PayPal's money, they will charge you extra amount. Do tell the following in the straightest, most concerted effort possible. I am a human being riddled with error and omissions. In this walk of life, I am one coat short of a full shack.
All right. And where in India? Are you in India, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Where do you live in India?
Where in India?
Yeah, which city?
Actually, it's in Mumbai.
Oh, you're in Mumbai. Mumbai's pretty.
Yes, ma'am.
So how long have
That
you
was the
been?
reason why I called you.
How long have you been
I was
working
born
for
at,
them?
ma'am, it's been now like 1 month since I've been appointed. And
Wow.
after getting my first salary, I thought I should call you up and inform you because I kept your number with me only.
Well, that's wonderful. I'm so proud of you. You don't
Thank you.
understand. I over the years, as I've gotten to know some scammers, I really don't I really don't hold what they're doing against them because I know that they're normal people. It's just they sometimes think that they don't have a choice. So
Exactly, ma'am.
whenever I come across somebody who's actually made the effort and changed, I think that's stellar. You will set a great example for other people who shouldn't be scammers. Um, I I'm so
Actually,
proud.
if you know, ma'am, in if you have heard about India, there are a lot of ma'am, you don't get jobs easily. Though you have education qualification, but you don't get job easily until and
I
unless you
know.
don't have good sources to get your jobs because there are lots of vacancies, but they get fulfilled by paying bribes and all those stuff. So we don't get opportunities like this. When I got
Right.
this job, like when I was used to be a scammer, then that was like a long time ago when I joined them. Then I came across you. Then you taught me a lesson and gave me that Bible's entire sentence, which I thought to read it out. And after reading it up, I came to know what I was doing. I was doing wrong with people.
Well,
It
that's
made
what
me change a lot.
I'm so glad. I I I have to tell you, Ricky, you have made my year hearing that you changed. I wish more people would be as strong as you because um, you're a young person. You sound like you are happy. And are you settling in? Are you living with someone? Are you starting a family? Or
Yeah, I do have a kid. I do have my wife. I have a
oh
dog. I have a cat. I have a big family.
oh wow, that's wonderful. This makes me feel.
That's why I called them.
This makes me feel so good. I'm so happy for you. at Mumbai, I googled what it looks like in Mumbai. It's pretty. Um,
Yes, ma'am.
it's right on
I have
the.
everything.
It's a
Let me
pretty
tell you,
place.
for God grace, I had everything, but due to, I believe you know, like what we came across for last 2 years, I lost my
Right.
job. Everything was out due to that COVID-19 issues, and then we didn't get any job. So, at the place, what you do, basically, what is coming up for you as an opportunity, you definitely join a job. That is the reason I joined that job. And then I
Right.
came across you one day out of a sudden, and then came to know what I was doing. That was wrong. I should work hard for at least for a good position and a good job. Then thought of changing the job, and then got this job, and I'm doing it. And I'm loving it, I'm liking it. At least I can sleep well at night
Oh yes.
without any
Yeah.
burdens in my heart that I have
You,
not
you,
scammed anyone today.
well, of course. Yeah. I mean that means too. Your child will grow up knowing that their father is
See,
is living a
exactly,
right
being a
life.
father, see, Mary, what being a father will only think about his son. So, due to lockdown and COVID-19, we were not having any jobs. So, you think
Well, I
if I was
know.
on your, if you were on my place, what would you think? Whatever job you get, you will definitely do it in that scenario, right?
Well, yeah. And one of the things that I want to try and help people do is if somebody is struggling and they have to work at the scammer job, um, they could actually I can actually help them maybe get a job at what's called a gray scamming job. It's a job where you're still working for a scammer, but it's not 100% scam. And an example would be if you Google HP printer repair, the companies that come
Mm-hmm.
up, they will fix your printer, but they will also charge you extra, and that's why it's a scam. However, if a person goes to, instead of being working for a full scammer, if they go to work for someone like that for like 6 months, they can then apply for regular jobs, and they aren't really lying if they say they worked for a legitimate company, because when the new company calls the gray scammer, they're going to say, no, we're a legitimate company, and this person who's working for me does a really good job. They're not going to tell the legitimate company that they're running a scam. So it's a way for a scammer to shift over to another job and then eventually go on to a legal job, see?
All right.
So if you have anybody that wants to talk to me, I write resumes for my colleagues at work, and I would love to write resumes for anybody that you send my way. But I'm just
Okay.
I won't stop with you. I would love to see more people stop scamming.
Definitely. If people like you are there, definitely people like me can change. So everyone
Well,
can
yeah,
change.
this is
Just you have to
awesome.
interact and you can understand.
I
You
am
have
so
changed
thrilled.
me, which was the reason I called you up and let you know that, ma'am,
Wow, wow, Ricky.
I though spoke to you for a few hours, but it took me a hell lot of things to make you understand. See, I had a lot of things with you that day. We spoke a lot, so
Yes.
that was the thing which made me change for you.
Wow. Uh, I am I am so I'm so thrilled for you. I really am. I'm gonna remember you for probably the rest of my life, Ricky, because you made that change. Good job.
And I cannot forget you even, ma'am.
Well, right on.
I'm
Okay,
so sorry I called you ma'am again, Miss Mary. I
that's
cannot
okay.
forget this sentence.
Yeah, I don't like
I
being
cannot
called
forget
ma'am.
that sentence. Don't call me ma'am.
Yeah, don't call
Oh
me
God.
ma'am. Yeah.
Miss Mary, I cannot forget you at all in my entire life. Thank you.
Okay. Okay,
Uh,
Ricky.
God,
Well, God
God bless
bless
you.
you.
Take care.
Okay.
Yep.
Bye bye.
Anytime you can call me
Okay.
up if you want to talk to me. Okay.
Okay.
Keep this number with you.
Well, I will.
Thank you,
I'll put it
Mary.
in a
Bye
safe
bye.
spot. Okay. Bye bye.
Bye. Take care.
You too.
Wow, that I did not expect that. This is like the seventh scammer that I've or the seventh person I've talked into that got out of scamming and is actually working at a legitimate company. He's in Mumbai, and he felt compelled to talk to Mary, the good news. Uh, that's pretty cool. That's really, to me, that's the ultimate form of scam baiting, is getting them to stop scamming and get regular jobs. I mean, that's a big deal to me. So, and I tell you, the scammers. It's like I get approached by a number of people that want to know how to scam bait. I have one particular person who wants to scam bait, and I have to tell them, look, you can't think of these scammers as outright criminals. There's a human behind it, and so you have to treat them accordingly. Um, and I said, and be ready. You might come across one that you actually kind of care about. And this is the guy that started crying because I made him say a prayer, and he felt bad. So he called me up and said that he didn't want to scam anymore. This was like about a year ago. A lot of them get them through Facebook, and a lot of the problem is if you look at the ads, they look legitimate. I mean, they say be an Amazon support rep, daily pay, paid in cash. You have to work graveyard because you're supporting customers that are in the West. You go to work for them, and for the first 30 days, unless you really look, you don't necessarily know that it's a scam. Now, there comes a point when you do. That's why when you watch scam baiters call them, you know how they always say, I'm going to transfer you to the senior technician? It could be very well that scammer is brand new and they're not allowed to close the scam. And it's because the scammer bosses, they bring in these people under the guise of real jobs, and they get them hooked on their pay. After about a month, the non-scammer might realize he's a scammer working for a scammer when they go to lunch with the coworkers, or they just might put two and two together. They might get a call from someone who yells at them for stealing their money. They're going to eventually figure it out. I had read an article back in 2018 that stated, while it's hard to pin down, the attrition rate of people who would normally become a scammer is about 40 to 50%. You could email them to me, and I'll put them in my call list. But if you think about it, if it's that high, the scammer bosses must make a solid effort to fool them. And the whole idea, it isn't so much that they get addicted to the money. I mean, these are people who are trying to feed families. And in India, it's common for when a person comes of age, they don't leave their family. If they marry someone, they go live with her family or she lives with his family. And so when they start their job, it becomes that much more important. They're not feeding two mouths. They're feeding as many as 40 people. So it's just a different culture. So the pressure on them is higher. So that combined with just exposure, that other 60 or 50% that don't quit, literally will tell themselves often that that they'll put up with it for a little while, or I'll only work here for 6 months and then get a regular job. But through the pressure of that job and it being thankless, they start to change and they start to become a scammer. When they're there for a year, it becomes hard for them to go and look for something. If they're there for 2 years, they start to become hardened and they start to hate their victims. They really do. That's why you hear some of the scammers are really foul-mouthed. It's not a cut and dry thing, but it seems the ones that have been there the longest are the ones that are most hateful. And it is. It's real sad to think that someone as happy and go-hung as this guy could turn into some of the riffraff that you see us scambaiters tackle. It's a shame. I mean, that's why when I heard him, I saw his text message and I thought, why is he calling me back? I totally yelled at him. And then the minute I heard him being happy, I started recording. And then the minute I heard him say that he's no longer scamming, I hit stream. But all right. Well, that was good news. I'm going to keep this recording of the scammer talking to me. It's just good news. I work that particular scammer. I remember he was one of the ones I got to say a prayer, and after the scam bait, he called me back telling me he felt bad because he said he read the prayer and he remembered it, and he wanted to talk to me the next day, and I offered to talk to him, but then come now about a year later, he calls me and wants to talk to Mary and give her the good news that he's moved. He now works for a legitimate company. So that makes me feel really good. I mean, it really does. I know I browbeat these scammers and I yell at them and call them stupid and stuff like that, but you know, it's in reality, they're just young people. An article from the Guardian UK. They interviewed an ex-scammer who had a friend who never became a scammer. And it was in that article that I found out that they both were tricked into becoming scammers. So, and it isn't as much of a trick. It isn't as much of a trick as you might think. Like, for example, in India, it is not considered to be a bad thing to work under the table. That's considered normal behavior. It's not considered abnormal for someone to go do work for somebody and get paid every day in cash and never really work for them. So if people are used to doing that, getting money on a subjective basis, doing handy jobs for people and not permanent, doing it under the table, it's no wonder that they get excited and they go to work for Amazon, and then they get to a point where all they're getting turns out to be a scam. You know, well, that's just it. Some of them probably think because it's under the table, it isn't official, so I'm not as responsible. I don't know. I can't think like them because I don't live there and I didn't grow up there. But I just always wondered why is there such a disparity? Now, one thing I do know, there aren't as many women in scamming. The percentage of women to men is pretty big. So that kind of does tell some of the story. Because the guys are more apt to take a risk. That's just human nature. Guys are, well, from talking to both female and male scammers, whenever I get a female scammer, I tend to want to stay on because they're the most witchy. I think they're the most dissatisfied at being a scammer, to be honest. I don't know. Yeah, it is great news. It's if I hear of any scammer that wants help, like with a resume, I would jump on it and help them. Because I don't want them stealing money from people, and I don't think, if they're willing to work hard and get out of it, then I'll do what I can. I'm not going to give them money to help them, but I can certainly help them with their resume, things like that.
Thank you for visiting. For more funny scam baiting videos, subscribe to my channel.